Welcome back to the scenery farm. This video I'm just gonna make some whalers. I've set up a stop here that just extends my uh, bench, my what do you call that, the fence. It's early in the morning. Doesn't matter though. Anyway, so I'm making a whaler here, and I'm adding another clamp. I normally just use the vice grip clamps or the Craig style vice grip clamps. But I put a real clamp on this because I'm going to be cutting a lot of pine, and the pine is long, and lots of little taps will slide it along. And the Bessie clamp there has much better grabbing power than just the vice grip clamps. When I get back in frame, this is kind of a, oh, there I am. I take my sticks, and because I'm making whaler, I'm just literally cutting the sticks in half. They're about 8 foot 5/8 of an inch because the pine in this bundle is around what was it, 16 foot 1 3/8 or something like that. Doesn't matter if they're a little off on the ends because it's whaler. It doesn't matter at all. I'm just taking them and I'm moving them off to the bench and I'm stacking them in a pile. And yeah, this is going to be a fun little morning of making lots and lots of whaler. I am culling the pile as I go. Anything that's too much of a hockey stick, I get rid of, and then I make an even number of them because they get assembled in pairs. I need 54 of these, and I think I ended up with 56 or 58. I just used up all the pine. This is the stuff I culled, and this is my stack of pine in this run. I've already done one run of whaler, and I'm setting up the bench so I don't actually have to fight for anything. I want it so everything is exactly where I need it, and I'm taking the time. I've already oiled the gun because I'm using it a bunch this morning. I'm taking the time to actually set things up so I don't have to work at cross purposes by shuffling things around or reaching too far to get anything. So there's a natural kind of flow to the build. It does save time, but more than that, it saves annoyance. I mean, if you're going to do something seemingly as redundant and repetitive as this, you want to have your your day as easy as possible. So I'm because the pile is so deep, I can't pull from the other side. I'm using the edge of the glue bottle to glue, and I missed a bit there. So I flip down a piece of pine to start the pile. I am using my thumb and my fingers to line it up, and they're minute movements because this pine is decently straight, but I'm using my left hand to line up this leading edge, and then I'm just popping it in about every 8 inches and a good line of glue. And because there's a good line of glue to give these extra strength, there's a gluey bead that happens, and you got to clean that off. And when you're done with the sticks and you're stacking them, it's really kind of important to deal with it in a way that doesn't have them all stick together. And then I literally just repeat. There's a staple on the side there. The 2 times workers in my presence have gone to the hospital. One was from a staple. They threw a whaler in the back of the truck, and there was a loose staple or a screw, I think it was, hanging out the side of it, and they hurt their finger that way. So good staple or screw karma is really important. And the other time was using an Olfa knife. And you can see on this one, the two pieces are slightly different lengths, but because it's a whaler, you don't sweat what you don't need to sweat. If it needs a cut, it'll get cut on site. These are just basic 8-foot whalers. When they go into their pile here, I am not doing any stacking so they fit together to take up less room. It's actually pretty important not to do that because they will stick together. Even if you wipe off the glue, there's a residue there. So you stand them up in a great big row of sticks and let them dry. And once they're dried, then you can, put them in a pile that's, moved 5 or 10 of them at a time, all kind of nestled together. And I'm flipping one down to make my life easier as we go along. Now, as I work away at this pile, the pile gets further and further away from me. Uh, so it makes sense every once in a while to take the pile and to shove it over towards me. Um, because even just reaching and pulling some, it's a thing. When you're stacking them, it's every 10th one I put a little mark so I know how many I've had, so I don't have to think about it too much. And this is a wonderful moment. This is kind of the fun bit. You're right at the end. You have very few left to do. And this is the last one where you can use the loose pieces of pine as a shelf to support as you're building. Um, it's actually having three like this makes it really easy to line up the edge. And when I'm done this one, I then use the whaler as my support, the one I've just made. Uh, and, that makes my life easier. Again, this glue, I don't want to get it all over the bench or anywhere. And then I used that whaler. I flipped it so it's 2.5 inches tall, not 3.25 inches tall. I flipped down that one piece so it's not in the way. You can pull it from behind. It's just a little more work, but you can do it. It's not a big deal. You finish doing the lining up at the end, and Bob's a really close relative. You just kind of finish this silliness off. It's kind of hard to make more of this than it is. I mean, whalers are whalers. Not too terribly complicated, but these are they're not complicated at all, really. But it's a few tricks just to make them less painful to make. And when you're doing something as repetitive as this, I typically don't count how many I have left to do. But when I get to this point, it's always the sign of, oh, I'm almost done. That's pretty cool. And if you're going to leave them on a bench, that's the way you do it. And this is what the pile has become. And it's a good feeling. Move on to the next thing. Hopefully something a little bit more fun. Until next time, take care.